In the stillness of dawn, the sages of India turned their gaze inward and discovered that the greatest power does not thunder outside but hums within. They called it pra, the breath of the universe moving through every cell. Every thought and action rides on this invisible current. When pra is scattered through distraction, anger, or indulgence, a person becomes drained and uncertain. When it is gathered by silence and discipline, it condenses into brightness, a radiance the ancients named ojas. Ojas is not superstition. It is the physiological glow of harmony, the nervous system steady, hormones balanced, attention anchored. Modern words might call it coherence between mind and body, but to the rishis it was a fire forged by restraint and purpose. They saw the human frame as a laboratory of consciousness. Breath was their first tool because breath is the visible shape of energy. By mastering breath, they mastered emotion. By mastering emotion, they mastered destiny. The next tool was tapas, the sacred heat of consistent effort. Whenever desire pulls outward, energy leaks away. When one observes the desire without chasing it, the same force distills into willpower. The yogic texts compared it to a river dammed by strong walls. The pressure builds and that pressure becomes strength. Not violence but presence. A weight that commands attention without a word. The Chandogaya Upanishad says, "He who knows this vital essence becomes radiant." His words carry truth. That radiance is physiological, visible in the eyes and the skin. It is psychological, heard in a calm voice, and it is spiritual, felt as quiet gravity. Today, neuroscience explains it as synchronization between brainwaves and hormones. Yet the seers mapped it through meditation alone. They taught that every craving is condensed energy. When you run after the object, the energy leaves you. When you simply witness the craving, the energy refines into clarity. That refinement becomes magnetism, the subtle pull that makes a person compelling without effort. Impulse control, modern science confirms, strengthens the prefrontal cortex, the region that plans, chooses, and foresees. When vision governs instinct, chaos turns into order. Thus, the first secret of mastery is inner economy. Conserve what feeds the mind, redirect what distracts it, refine what remains. Not to live in denial, but to participate consciously in the creative intelligence that spins the stars. A disciple once asked his teacher, "Master, how will I know when my energy is pure?" The teacher smiled and said, "When silence feels like strength, not emptiness." That moment marks the turning of the tide. From then on, the individual no longer prays for the universe to change. He aligns his vibration so that the universe moves with him. And that alignment opens the next chapter, the awakening of the subtle channels through which refined energy ascends, connecting the finite with the infinite. As inner stillness deepens, the practitioner begins to sense that the body is not a solid mass but a network of currents. The sages described three primary channels: Idiebi, Pi, Galpe, and Su Omen, threads of energy that braid the human spine like streams of light. Idiebi carries the cooling lunar force of intuition. Pi Galb bears the warming, solar force of action, and between them, Su stands silent, a column of equilibrium that awakens only when balance is achieved, when breath and attention are harmonized. The twin currents cease their tug-of-war, and energy slips upward through Su like mercury drawn by a magnet. This ascent was never superstition. It was observation. The rishis found that disciplined breath and focused awareness reorganize the nervous system, refine hormonal cycles, and sharpen cognition. They spoke of Kualinar, the coiled potential energy sleeping at the base of the spine, which uncoils as consciousness matures. Modern language might call it neuroelectrical awakening, the whole organism entering higher coherence. To them it was the sacred serpent of transformation. The transformation is gradual. At first, the seeker experiences small flashes, heightened perception, unprovoked joy, sudden intuition. These are not miracles. They are signs of circuitry clearing. As fear subsides and attention steadies, pra moves freely through the subtle channels called Na 72,000 conduits of vitality mapped in yogic anatomy. The more transparent these become, the less energy is wasted in friction, and the more it expresses as creativity, insight, and magnetism. Ancient texts warned that this power must remain silent. Display invites dissipation. The force responds to humility, not to vanity. That is why the masters advise students to live ordinarily while cultivating extraordinary balance within. They likened the adept to a lamp in a hidden room, unseen by the crowd, yet casting steady light on all who enter. Energy transmutation also refines emotion. Anger, fear, and desire are raw fuels. Through mindfulness, they become courage, compassion, and purpose. Each emotion is energy colored by perception. Change the perception, and the same energy becomes wisdom. The Yogascras call this pratipaka bhavana, reversing the mental current. Instead of reacting, the aspirant redirects. Slowly, the entire personality reorganizes around equilibrium. Science finds echoes of this in neuroplasticity and heart-brain coherence. Repeated calm attention rewires synaptic pathways. Gratitude and focus alter electromagnetic rhythms of the heart. What the sages experienced as divine ascent, we now describe as bioelectrical integration. Two languages, one truth. Harmony multiplies power. The more refined the energy, the subtler its expression. Speech grows measured. Movement becomes deliberate. Thoughts arise clean and purposeful. People nearby feel this as a quiet gravity. They may not understand it, but they respond to it, the resonance of ordered energy meeting the chaos of ordinary fields. The ancients called this tejas, the inner brilliance that commands without aggression. With sustained practice, the seeker recognizes that the so-called personal energy is not personal at all. It is the same current that turns galaxies. When self-centered effort dissolves into alignment, will and cosmos become one continuum. Then even small actions carry vast consequence, for they emerge from coherence rather than fragmentation. The sages never claimed this makes one supernatural. It makes one natural in the highest sense. To live as nature intended, mind luminous, heart steady, breath rhythmic is already a miracle. From that harmony arises spontaneous wisdom. When to act, when to be still, when to speak, when to remain silent. The universe seems to answer without being asked, because perception and reality have synchronized. This is the quiet threshold of mastery. Beyond it lies no dramatic revelation. Only depth, the understanding that energy, consciousness, and matter are reflections of the same truth, vibrating at different speeds. The one who realizes this walks through life like a calm storm, centered, awake, unstoppable, yet kind. When the seeker's energy settles into harmony, the journey enters its quietest and most decisive phase, the stage of integration. No lightning flashes, no visions, only a steady pulse of awareness that begins to guide every movement. The ancients called this sthita, praj, the state of one whose wisdom stands firm. In that state, mastery ceases to be something practiced. It becomes the texture of life itself. The teacher in the Bhagavad Gita describes such a person simply, unaffected by pleasure and pain. He lives in balance, as the ocean remains full, though rivers enter it. This balance is not dullness, but precision. It allows the individual to act with immense force when needed and to rest completely when the moment passes. Energy no longer leaks through reaction. It moves only through intention. Daily life becomes the field of yoga. Work, relationships, art, and service are all laboratories for energy alignment. Each decision is a subtle experiment in coherence. Will this thought strengthen the current or scatter it? Will this word heal or divide? The master learns to choose the first response instinctively, not by moral strain, but by resonance. The nervous system itself has been retuned to the frequency of equilibrium. Such quiet strength changes the environment. The sages said that when a person's PRA is pure, even nature rearranges to support their path. Modern observers might call it charisma, synchronicity, or leadership presence. In truth, it is simply physics. Ordered energy, organizing disorder around it. This is how one commands the universe without domination, by vibrating in tune with its fundamental rhythm. History remembers those who lived this science. Kings like Janaka, warriors like Arjuna, poets like Kabir, scientists like Jagadish Chandra Bose all drew from the same well of disciplined awareness. Their power was not noise but clarity. They acted decisively because they had conquered hesitation, and they inspired others because they radiated calm conviction. The path of silent mastery also requires humility. As the Upanishads remind us, he who thinks he knows does not know. He who knows, he cannot speak of it, knows. The deeper the alignment, the less the need to prove. The master walks softly, speaks sparingly, and works with unwavering focus. Recognition or obscurity make no difference, for fulfillment has turned inward. Psychologically, this state represents full integration of the conscious and subconscious minds. The internal dialogue quiets, freeing enormous mental bandwidth. Physiologically, heart and brain rhythms synchronize, immune response improves, and perception sharpens. Spiritually, intuition replaces analysis. Decisions emerge whole, not piecemeal. It is living intelligence rather than accumulated knowledge. Eventually, the distinction between inner and outer dissolves. The practitioner realizes that the energy within and the universe without are a single continuum, endlessly exchanging information. Breath becomes the bridge, attention the steering wheel. Through this realization arises effortless efficiency, a capacity to do much by doing little, to influence without controlling, to teach without preaching. At this summit, silence itself becomes creative. Words spoken from that silence carry weight. Actions springing from it ripple far. The master no longer seeks to impress minds, but to awaken them. Presence becomes message. That is why ancient teachers could transmit wisdom through a glance, a smile, or simply their stillness. Their alignment was the teaching. For the modern seeker, the prescription remains the same, though the setting has changed. Breathe consciously, act deliberately, keep the mind clear, and guard attention as the most precious currency. In an age of noise, the quiet individual becomes magnetic. In an age of haste, the patient one becomes powerful. The old science of PRA has never been more relevant. Silent mastery does not promise escape from the world. It offers command within it. To live among movement while remaining unmoved, to create without exhaustion, to love without losing oneself, that is the mark of true energy. Science understood. The result indeed blows people's minds, not because it is flashy, but because it is rare. When the world encounters someone who governs himself completely, it senses the echo of cosmic order. Thus, the journey ends where it began in stillness. From breath to thought to action, everything aligns around a single axis of awareness. The practitioner no longer prays for the universe to obey. He listens, and the universe moves in harmony with that listening. Quietly, invisibly, he becomes the current he once sought to control. Before we conclude, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and do not forget to drop your location in the comments. I'd love to know where you are watching from. And if you ever have any questions, join our Telegram channel where we interact directly and help each other grow. The link is in the description.